Hey, thanks for clicking on this video. If you want to support the channel, consider subscribing and click the bell icon to receive notifications when I upload a video. Also consider checking out our Steam group and Twitch channel. If you want to support our efforts to produce better content, please consider becoming a patron on the Hoagie Gaming Patreon. The link is up in the top corner. Stay tuned after the credits to view the current patrons. So, when I started this video, I wanted to do a big comparison of the last three Mortal Kombat games. You know, Mortal Kombat 9, X, and 11. And, unfortunately, I just couldn't get the footage I wanted out of 9. I didn't know at the time that it didn't have one-on-one AI fights, and while I did get the game for Steve, I don't know, there's some problem with his computer. It like ran right the first time, and then it's auto-crashing ever since, and I'm not going to press him into, you know, going above and beyond the Call of Duty just to get some fight scenes for a video. If you really want to see Mortal Kombat 9 in action, just look it up. There's 1.5 billion videos out there. But let me get on to my point. I mean, I'm not gonna, none of what I'm gonna be saying is gonna be really reflected in the video gameplay on screen, except for the fact, you know, the distinct differences between the games. I wanted to start with 9 because Mortal Kombat 9 is like Mortal Kombat 2 was, if that makes sense to you. 9 was more advanced than its predecessor. Ooh, excuse me. It was faster, but not too fast. It didn't rely solely on combos. You were actually able to be quite creative with how you played the game. All the characters had, you know, their special moves, and it was just ripe for a real fighting game. It revolutionized Mortal Kombat. It was really good after years and years of crappy Mortal Kombats with cool concepts that just didn't pan out, like the create a character and create a fatality system in Armageddon, which would have been fine on its own, but they stripped out every character's fatalities for it, which that's essentially ripping the soul right out of Mortal Kombat. But then you get X and its expansion XL. I mean, it's not really an expansion, that's just what they call it. Now, I like MKX. Its combat is different. It's faster paced, but it feels like a real brutal fight. You still get the stuff with your, you know, combos in. And mind you, I apologize for the mistakes in the video I make. Every game has different inputs for characters, and it gets confusing sometimes. Also, I am by no means a pro. At all. I wish I could say that. But X was faster, and the combat was still pretty solid, but they had it separated into categories, which kind of sucked. Because if you take one category, you lose out on some special moves that are iconic to the character. You get a different fighting style, to a degree, and that's not awesome at all, but I really don't like substituting blasting for the gotcha grabs and stuff like Jax has. But, excuse me again. Ooh. This is going to be the video, this is my first video back, official video back, and here I am. Hoagie's belching all the time. Why is he doing that? He's such a pig. But, you know, the combat's still good in X, and it feels like a hard-fought battle, and they stepped it up with the fatalities. The fatalities were over the top. It was beautiful. I mean, even for characters I didn't like Kung Jin, I didn't like his combat style. Even his fatalities were brutal. Oh, fatalities were always brutal in one way or another, but, you know, you take MK9 Jax's head smash and grab fatality. That's the combination of his MK2 head popper and arm rip fatality. And yeah, it was awesome. Totally freaking awesome. But here, it just seems more brutal, where Jax just walks up, smashes your arms into your lungs, lights a cigar, cracks your head open like a beer, and then puts a cigar out on your tongue. I mean, it's the over-the-top gore. It really adds to it. And both MK9 and MKX, though less of X, had figure degradation. Well, that's not the correct word for it, but basically over time your character takes physical damage to their appearance. In MK9 you got really bloody, you got chunks of flesh torn off. I think Shiva loses a toe, for God's sakes. And it was really bloody. And in X, you get the same thing, but on a lesser scale. This is where, you know, 11 starts to show it's got problems. And boy, does it have problems. For all the beatings you give, the only amount of actual blood that comes up from those fatal blows is a blood stain too. It's actually kind of pathetic in 11. I mean, you're only just ramming the guy's skull through a wall and impaling him and doing stuff that would normally kill people. But just a tiny little bit of blood. And, you know, it's hard for me to go on about 11 because I have a lot of criticism about this game. The core combat is good. If you're just getting that game for the combat, for, you know, to play with your friends, you're fine. It's just, otherwise it's empty. The story sucks. Spoiler alert, it ends with and everyone died. The end. And sure, it's a setup for different Mortal Kombat, but the writers did a poor job with it. They're going to realize that, and then they're going to end up having Liu Kang have to do what Kronika keeps doing, and that's reset the timeline to make sure things fit right, and go mad in the process. But then you get, you know, the grind in the game, and oh god, the grind was so bad, it actually got me to quit. I quit. I couldn't take it anymore. It's absurd, because you're not grinding for gear. I mean, you are technically grinding for gear, but all it is, in the end, is cosmetics. The augments do not have any meaning whatsoever, and you're just grinding for cosmetics under a ridiculous grind. The second character tower for Noob Saibot that I did demanded 75 fatalities and 75 brutalities. For what? Some augments that only affect the offline stuff? And a costume I may or may not want? And while it's true, the game is not pay to win, they've cleverly hidden the loot box stuff. It's just too much. It's too much grind, and they seem to expect you to make this a hobby while it's boring, especially when the grind is so high, the only viable alternative is to use the AI battles to grind for you. That's not Mortal Kombat. And never mind the costumes. You know, they've always been skimpy. But this is where this comes in. This is blatant hypocrisy in my mind. Because they're like, the women need to be covered up. But then you have Baraka parading around in a pair of sandals, shitty underwear with a loincloth. I mean, you got half-naked men, but you've got women completely clothed, and a lot of those costumes are horrible looking. I mean, just absolutely horrible looking. And granted, there were some over-the-top ones in earlier games, like 9, but, you know, you had viable alternatives. And they weren't the focus of the game. They were just a nice addition. I mean, people bitch about, like, I think it was Dead or Alive's boob physics, but that wasn't the main focus of the game. That's actually why I hate Bayonetta. Anyone who knows me knows that I truly hate Bayonetta for many reasons, but one of the main reasons is that she's such a whorish character. I mean, everything about her is literally focused on her tits, her ass, or she's getting naked all the time. And it's distracting. Even the way she walks, ass. And yeah, that's fine for those who like it, but I don't. That's why, like, the classic costumes are a nice change of pace. They look much better for the Mortal Kombat characters a lot of times. But, you know, here we got somebody, and I'm pretty sure this people at NetherRealm are jerking our legs around about that. Or they let somebody who can't control their political opinions decide for them. And that's no good. It just ruins the experience, especially when you're presented with a costume that makes you want to gouge your eyes out. Between that and the grind, there's really, it's an empty experience with Mortal Kombat 11. I don't like it the way it is. That's such a waste of a game. And I got especially when you factor in, like, the Towers of Time, how ridiculously hard they are. And yeah, NetherRealm says they're going to look into it and fix it, but these things are designed just for grind. And you saw it. If you're watching this, you probably saw the previous 2 videos I did on the subject. Is like, you just get annihilated with just stuff that's unfair. And I can honestly say I do not recommend Mortal Kombat 11 to anyone. I just, you know, I'm pretty sure NetherRealm is going to put out the classic skins because they're in high demand and Warner Brothers likes money. But at this point, it's a washout. I got so frustrated with the game, I uninstalled it. Because I don't want to waste my time on it anymore. I've got better things to do. And,
revenant once more.
Really? That's about all I have to say.
Allow me to cool your anger.
I mean, this probably isn't as well thought out as I'd like it to be. But I never promised that, you know, I was going to be some golden orator. I'm just a guy who has always loved Mortal Kombat from day frickin' one. My mother hated it. She didn't want me to be around it. I ended up getting it anyway. And it was a great outlet for a lot of bad times in my life. I especially loved Jax as a character. He is he's always been my go-to since his appearance in Mortal Kombat 2. I love his character, and I don't like the way they're handling things. So, it's just, you know, what is Mortal Kombat going to become if it keeps going? We've had enough shitty Mortal Kombat games over the years. And really, they need to step up their game and at least be as good as 9 and 10. But I'm going to leave it at that. Okay, this is... Now comes the shilling. we've got a Patreon. We've got a Twitch channel. We do stream, and we are planning on streaming soon. Just when and what, I don't know yet. The Patreon, if you support us on the Patreon, that would be great, because that'll enable me to get better equipment to do better work. And overall, thank you for your time. Thanks for watching the video. I'll catch you in the next one. Hey, thanks for supporting me on Patreon. You guys are awesome.